Hey guys, good morning. I gotta apologize if I'm not as smiley as I normally am. I'm having some aches and pains this morning, and I'm just waiting for the Tylenol to kick in, and I didn't even take any Tylenol yet, so it's gonna be a while. uh, but whatever. It is what it is. I wanted to do a quick topic about this lesson I heard this morning by Steve Furtick, and he was talking about our limitations, and it was real cool. It was a real cool sermon about just how we have developed, some from birth, preset limitations, and then we have learned limitations. And I totally related to what he was talking about, because, being a black man, I was born into a subconscious limit breaker, to where I only believed I could only go so far, and that kind of came from my parents, when the first boundary was set, when my mom said I needed to do something, consider something more serious other than being an actor, and I said okay, and I didn't have a whole lot of confidence being the fat kid anyways to begin with, so I just folded and I said okay, and so I kind of flopped around in college, going from art degree to gym teacher to psychology. I thought maybe I could be a counselor. And then I don't know, I went a bunch of different places. And then I ended up, dropping out. Then I went back, and then I flunked out. Then I went back again and finally graduated with a degree in psychology. But a lot of that was due to what I saw around me, and T.D. Jakes talks about this, and it was really, really kind of key about how poor people, if they live in the subsidized housing and they're just surrounded by other people of low income, they end up repeating that cycle of poverty. But if you mix low income with middle class and high income, the child has more of a choice because he sees other options that he can attain because he can see it. So, when it comes to having faith, it's an extremely courageous commitment you have to make, because often faith comes without seeing. It comes from the imagination that we believe we can do something that we've never seen. So when the Wright brothers decided they wanted to fly, all they saw was birds fly. They never saw a man fly. They saw men fall. And we see men fall all the time. We fall often. And that's what becomes our limit. We end up creating a limit out of our disappointments and our rejections and our heartbreaks instead of our hopes, dreams, and aspirations. We create limits out of our pain and our trauma. And then we live within them. And so the whole point of the sermon, and in fact, my whole point in what I do with the people that come see me, is to break limits, to break the chains within our own mind that say, I can only go so far. And I look at that, because I talk to my trainer, Sue, all the time, and she was just talking about the things that I do are uncommon. And to me, I guess I just don't even think about it like that. But when I really take the time to look at, you guys know I'm writing, and I'm doing the whole mystery post-apocalyptic thriller about African-American family. And it's funny. It's really not funny, but it is funny. When I look at my status in African-American science fiction, I'm not that far from the, I'm like I think I'm like in the thousands or something like that, which is amazing, but it's also an indication that there aren't that many African Americans that write from imagination. in the science fiction, in the category of fantasy, and it's funny because even when I was approaching literary agents, with my synopsis of my story, because when Black Lives Matter first came out, there was this big push for a lot of things pertaining to people of color. So in the literary world, there was a lot of postings from literary agents that were looking for African American writers. So I was like, cool, bet. I'm an African American writer. Huh. So I sent out like probably 50 applications or query letters. They're called query letters. I sent out 50. And I have received pretty much 50 rejections, which, is, I guess it's not uncommon. But when you think that they were looking for African American writers, you start to wonder what's going on. But when I looked at what they were looking for, it was more of the same that's already out there. Comedy, urban drama, situations dealing with, coming from a criminal element, whatever. The things that are already out there that have typecast African Americans, limited them in where they are. So when you look at the movie like Black Panther, the reason why it was so, phenomenal was that it was about a black superhero that was wealthy and came from a technologically advanced African American society. You've never even heard of that. But here's the flip about that. It was wrote by a white writer. So is that saying that my culture doesn't have the imagination to see us as technologically advanced or wealthy? I mean, it's just a question. I'm not trying to step on toes, but I'm trying to put out examples of how we have limited ourselves based on our culture, our race, our identity, our whether we're male or female, whether we're white or black or Hispanic, it doesn't matter. We have cultural barriers that have been set and personal barriers that we have adopted that all can be broken if we have the will, if we have the determination. You don't have to live a life less than. Whether you're struggling with an addiction, whether you're struggling with depression, anxiety, anger, poverty, weight loss, whatever, you don't have to live like that. And so I spend a lot of my time trying to be an example of breaking my own limits. Because not too long ago, I thought I'd never be below 350 pounds. I was trapped as the fat kid. And I'm still overweight, even though a lot of people say you're not that big. Well, I'm not that big, and I'm willing to say that now. But I've worked really, really hard to get this far, and this is not the end of the story. And my weight loss journey is just part of the dreams that I want to accomplish, man. I mean, I've got so many things that I want to do, and that's only what I know of right now. Every year I see something new, a new mountain that I might want to climb, and I think it's the purpose that God gave me to be an example of what He can do through me. How in the world are we supposed to be the light? I'm talking to my Christians. How are we supposed to be the light if we're not illuminating anything? If we're not different? I don't know. We talk about being chosen. We talk about being children of God, but we're doing the same old that we was doing. We're doing the same two-step we did 2 years ago. We're not stepping outside of our own boundaries, out of our own box, out of our own limits. And I see it a lot in church. I see it a lot. And when I was listening to Steve Furtick, it was funny because they were making a new song, a new praise and worship song, and he was talking about his own mindset and the limits he had set for himself because it wasn't the norm. And he said in one of the phrases in one of the lyrics, he was talking about, going to church in his khaki pants. And he had to stop himself because he started to doubt the song that he was writing because he didn't think people could relate to wearing khaki pants. Who cares? So even and I see that even in the story that I'm writing. I mean, I'm nervous still, even as I push myself out there. I got another commercial coming out about the story, in the series I'm writing, and it's just it's a totally new kind of story for African American families. But it's fun and it opens up new possibilities, and I thought that's what life was worth living. To open up new possibilities for your life. So I guess I'm just encouraging you guys to not settle for less. Fight being in a routine and go after your dreams. Okay? So I love you guys. I'll talk to you later. I'm heading to work. Peace.